Qué gusto y qué satisfacción reunirnos esta noche con todos ustedes que han sido parte de este extraordinario proyecto que es Marcha de la Vida. Esta noche es para celebrar y recordar juntos cada momento de nuestra marcha, recordar cada lugar, a cada compañero con el que convivimos, con los que reímos, lloramos y cantamos. 25 años han pasado desde que Enlace Judío, para conmemorar sus primeros 70 años de existencia, trae a México este nuevo proyecto, Marcha de la Vida. Y hemos vivido todos los participantes 25 años extraordinarios. Son 25 años de marchar por la vida, de hacer presencia y poder decir orgullosamente, aquí estamos.
I am privileged and honored and feel very blessed to join you in Wollschlaeger this evening to celebrate 25 incredible, outstanding, and most important years of your commitment to the International March of the Living. Mexico is something very special. A very special place is held in each of our hearts for the work you do here, for the yichus you give to the Jewish people, to the survivors who have left us, and to those who are with us today. It's really quite amazing. Having just arrived today, it is quite amazing for me to realize that over 4,500 participants of the March of the Living have come, in the last years have come from Mexico. That puts you at 12% of the entire delegation from 40 countries, 150 communities around the globe. And for that, I bring you a heartfelt Yasher Koach, Kol HaKavod Kulam. We are honored and privileged that you have chosen to devote yourselves to the mission of the March of the Living. As I'm sure you believe that in order to understand who we are today and where we want to be tomorrow, we the Jewish people must understand our past. We must educate each and every generation as long as we are able, so that we leave the next generation a strong commitment to remembering the past, preserving the present, and protecting the very precious future. On behalf of Yossi and Arla and Shmuel Rosenman, our world chairman, who is in Israel at the time, on behalf of my husband, the board of directors, the staff, the volunteers, the survivors, the liberators, and most importantly, on behalf of each and every participant who gets to walk on the very hallowed grounds in Poland, remembering our ancestors, I say to Daruzala Kulam.
I cannot change history. What I can embrace history as mine, learn its lessons, and move forward with the lessons learned, never to repeat the mistake of the past again. Whatever these mistakes were, cannot undo them, but I can prevent them from happening again. And that's what I did, and that's what I teach others. Because it's not a story about me. This is not a story about one that dramatically changed you to the other side. This is a story about people who take their responsibility in life personally and take it very much to heart. And they're not only people like me who became a Jew when they were born German, there are people that from other backgrounds who do similar radical steps, who change their lives. And it's important to send this message specifically today, because today we're back at the time in history where hatred prevails. And I learned one thing from my father, which I'm very grateful about, that hatred always starts with words of hatred, words of stereotypes, prejudice, prejudgment, casting doubt on another group. And when these words of hatred, if nobody counters them and nobody stands up and has the guts to say this is wrong, these words will fall on the fertile ground. This is the mind of others. and they sprout into deeds. And if these deeds left unchallenged, they form habits, and these habits influence the formation of characters. And if these characters prevail, they form social norms. And that explains, but never excuses, that, for example, in Germany, everybody looked away when everybody knew what happened. All Germans knew what happened to the Jews. They just pretended that they didn't know, because this is the norm. We let it happen. Now, this is not typically for Germans, and I don't let Germans off the hook. This is typically for people in general, looking away when bad things happen. And when bad things happen to other groups, there are always 3 steps that they go through. First, people were being de-individualized. The Jews, the Muslims, the whatever. Then they're being depersonalized. They're not like us. They're not persons. They're not human. And then they're being demonized. We need to get rid of them. We need to find a solution. And that happens over and over again in history. Now, Auschwitz is the climax of hatred. There is, fortunately, no other event in history that succeeds and supersedes Auschwitz. But after Auschwitz, after 1945, many genocides happened. How do you explain the mass murder in Cambodia in the 70s, when the Khmer Rouge murdered more than 1 million Cambodians? How do you explain 20 years ago the murder in Rwanda, where Hutus killed Tutsis, 800,000 in the span of 6 months with machetes? How do you explain Bosnia and Herzegovina and former Yugoslavia, where Muslims were herded to concentration camps 20 years ago and killed? It's mass slaughter. How do you explain Guatemala, San Salvador, the mass murder? This is human behavior, and it always starts with words of hatred. So when you send your children on the march of living, it's not only to remind them and remember them what is possible and what happened in the past, but what can happen if you don't have the courage to stand up. It's not only sufficient to travel to see what happened, it's to learn the lessons and then teach others the lessons. And that's what I do with my humble capabilities, is to teach others, make them aware that against all odds, change is possible in everybody and everyone. So thank you very much. Erev Tov.